Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Living Fiercely. I'm your host, Tiana DeRay, and I have actually decided to change the name of the podcast to Fierce Mindset. I really liked and still like the name Living Fiercely, but I feel like it represents more of a lifestyle brand and a way of life, which it is true, but it doesn't really nail down ambition, drive, entrepreneurship, personal development, and power, which I think Fierce Mindset does reflect better. So, those are the changes, and that is the beauty of life and business. You start with one idea and then it evolves and you adapt. And who knows, I might, change the name sometime in the future again, but for now, I really do resonate and like the fierce mindset. And I would love to know, what do you think of the change? What resonates more with you, fierce mindset or living fiercely? And you can tell me in the comments or send me a DM on Instagram. I, by the way, love reading your messages. And if you find this podcast helpful, please don't forget to share it with a friend so that we can reach and help more people. And today we are going to talk about one thing that determines your future more than anything else, and more than your talent, more than your intelligence, more than your strategy, or even the opportunities that you've been given. And that is your ability to control yourself. Yes, self control is the key to winning, my friend. So let's look into that. If you are being completely honest with yourself, you are going to notice that you are not fully in control of yourself, or at least not all the time. You may think you are, but most of your actions and reactions are dictated by your mood and by your emotions. You sure do speak and act differently when you are angry than when you are happy. Am I right? We are controlled by our urges, our needs, and so many other temporary feelings that we experience throughout the day. And this is all normal part of being human. And that's why you need to be aware of that and actively participate and navigate in all those different moods, emotions, situations, and circumstances. It does take deliberate effort. Otherwise, if you allow these temporary feelings or experiences to control you, you are going to repeat the same pattern over and over again. Now, let's look into the first and very big controller, and that is your emotions. I've heard this sentence once and I absolutely loved it. And that is, you cannot make permanent decisions on temporary feelings. It's so freaking true. Yet, so many of us decide to react or make a irreversible decision in the height of emotions. So many people say that they want success but have zero command over their own internal world. They cannot control their mouth when they're angry. They cannot control their attention when distraction is literally everywhere. And they cannot control their emotions when pressure hits. Or they drop their standards the minute that life gets uncomfortable. And then they sit there confused and wondering, why isn't this working, or why is this happening to me? Because you have no self control. That's why. And that's what we are going to change today. Today. I mean, just think about it. When you feel inspired, you feel unstoppable. And then when you feel tired, you want to quit, you don't feel like doing something, or when you're rejected, you start to spiral, you start thinking, am I good enough? La 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 la, and just spiral in circles. And what happens when you're overwhelmed? You probably make some pretty bad decisions. And that is not what leadership or self control looks like. That is literally being a passenger in your own life instead of driving that ship. I mean, I've seen entrepreneurs lose serious opportunities because they got emotional for like 10 minutes and could not regulate themselves. And then I've also seen people damage relationships because they needed to protect their ego instead of protecting something that actually mattered. And I've also seen the opposite. I've seen a close friend of mine act so maturely in our early 20s in a situation where I would have completely broken down and therefore would have had a completely different outcome of her situation. I've learned so much from that experience because I did not know that there was a different way to react or handle such situation. I was totally overwhelmed by emotions, ego, and well-learned reactive patterns that if I was in her shoes, I would have had a totally different outcome and would have blamed the circumstances for sure. And this is what happens when you're being driven by patterns that you've never learned to manage. And that part is completely on you. And this is where self command actually matters. And if you cannot command your life will command you. Your moods will shape your decisions and ultimately your destiny because your impulses will run your behavior and your future will be directed by whatever emotional state you happen to be in that day. And none of those emotional states care about who you're trying to become. And I'm not saying that you should become this emotional robot. No, I'm telling you that you need to learn to lead yourself. It's about catching yourself in the moment when the anger rises and when deciding that something stronger is going to lead you instead. Something stronger like your standards, like your vision, your values, and your purpose. Something higher than your temporary emotional state because emotional states are unreliable and you can change them. You can affect and change your emotional state in the moment. Think about it. How many times have you made a decision while you were angry that you regretted later? How many times have you acted from fear and missed an opportunity? And how many times have you let discomfort talk you out of what you knew you needed to do? And that's what happens when your emotions lead. And here's where most people use years of their lives. They keep waiting to feel better before they act better. They wait to feel motivated before becoming disciplined. And they wait to feel confident before taking action. They wait to feel certain before making a move. And meanwhile, life just keeps moving. And now, let's see how to take your control back. All right. So here's how you actually do this. First, you need to stop negotiating with yourself. When you set a standard, that's it. No debates, no just this once, no I'll start tomorrow or next time or next year or Monday or Tuesday or whatever it may be. You decide once and then you execute every time. If you say you're going to work out, you work out. If you say that you're not engaging with toxic people, then you don't engage. If you say that you're showing up for yourself, then you show up. Your word to yourself has to mean something. And just think right now, for most of you, what does your word mean to you? Like, do you believe yourself when you say that you're going to do something? You need to change that. Second, you need to catch yourself in the moment. The moment anger rises, the moment the fear creeps, the moment discomfort makes you want to quit, you need to catch yourself and then ask yourself, am I going to let this temporary feeling lead me or am I going to lead myself? And sometimes it's going to feel so difficult as if you were going against your own nature. But you know what? Most people, they don't even catch themselves. They just react. They're on autopilot, letting their emotions drive every decision, and then they regret after. And listen, you are not going to be perfect. You are going to screw up, for sure. And that's okay. Probably more than once, because you are trying to correct your impulses and already well-established patterns of behavior, and that will take time. It's really not easy. But as long as you are conscious about it and work on improving it, you are good. Don't beat yourself about it. Acknowledging is the first step. And I like to compare this like to a muscle, like when you go to the gym and you just start lifting weights, it's like so difficult and like your muscles are sore. But the more you do it, it's really like exercising a muscle. The more you do it, the more your muscle grows, the more this muscle of not reacting is going to grow. Seriously. And if you're even acknowledging your patterns, you are ahead of most of the people, because most people are not even aware of their reactive patterns. They just think that that's how they are. So, here is the question I want you to sit with this week. What has been controlling you lately that should no longer have power over your life? Is it your anger? Is it your fear? Is it maybe your comfort or the distractions, your need for validation, or maybe your impulses? Because whatever keeps controlling you keeps limiting you. And until you take your power back from it, your life will continue reflecting that. You'll keep feeling like you're stuck because you are stuck. You're stuck being led by forces that you've never learned to master. Because that version of you that wins, she does not wait for permission from her emotions. She doesn't need to feel ready. No, she doesn't negotiate with temporary feelings. She leads and everything else follows. So please stop handling the wheel to every emotion that shows up. Stop waiting to feel ready. You need to lead yourself, command yourself, and trust yourself. That's where real power lives. This was another episode of Fierce Mindset Podcast, and I'm Tiana DeRay. And if this episode resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave a comment, and share this with someone who's been giving in too much to their emotions. It helps us reach and help more people this way. And I'll see you in the next episode.